What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica podcast, your weekly source for Benfica talk. Every week we're here with a brand new podcast for you, talking all the latest about Benfica. With me tonight, Mr. Steve Santos. What's going on, Stevie?
Got a little bit of a bellyache from all the laughing I was doing a little bit earlier, but otherwise I'm pretty good.
Mr. Cristiano Oliveira.
I wasn't laughing as much, but I'm doing pretty well, Alfredo. Thank you once again for having me on the Benfica podcast. It is a pleasure.
Well, you kind of considering you're a part of this, you don't have to thank me.
Just glad that I'm able to do this once again, and especially after such a glorious day like we had earlier today.
That looks bad. We're such antis.
What are we talking about? What are you guys referring to? Steve, you don't know what I'm referring to. Speak for yourself.
This is true.
Já começam. And Mr. Mario Mota is here. Mario, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. Feeling a little awkward. I kind of enjoyed a bit of watching some abuse tonight, and it was good.
Hey, Mario, it's a good thing that we can't see your Porto scarf behind you.
No, well, you know what? You guys
did you hide that on purpose?
You can't be scared of these guys. You guys can't be scared of those guys.
Guys, I think we need to calm ourselves down just a little bit when it comes to this whole Porto thing because, they might be the last ones laughing. So right now, let's give it a break and let's talk about this a little bit later on. Let's not really.
Oh my God, Cristiano's the voice of reason.
Epa.
What has the world come to?
It's a bad beating when he's the voice of reasoning.
Exactly.
Wait, did you say a bad beating?
I figured I from last week. Obviously I have to pay a dinner for these two gentlemen here. Enough crows, so now I'm decided to take another route. Hopefully it works out for me this time.
That's right. On tonight's podcast, episode number 156, we will look back at the Belenenses game. We will also look ahead to the biggest game of the season for Benfica so far against Porto. O Clássico coming up this weekend against Porto, obviously, at Estádio da Luz. So without further ado, let's get right into this Belenenses game. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Júlio César, Almeida, Luizão, Jardel, and Eliseu across the back. Samaris and Pizza in the midfield, John and Gaetan on the wings, and Jonas and Lima. Apparently, Salvio got hurt, a muscular injury from what I've heard, from what I've read, and John stepped in. Otherwise, Steve, you would have been 3 for 3, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know. JJ is actually sticking to his word. He says every game that the most important is the next one, and he can't put anything into question, thinking about games further in advance, and that's what he's been sticking to it. So thanks to JJ, I'm gonna have an awesome steak dinner or something there.
White Castle. Carried away.
White Castle, cheapskate.
Hey, we didn't say what type of dinner. We just said dinner. All right, give me a break.
I'm in on this too, so I'm along for the ride. So yeah, I was glad that. But I also said the same thing. I thought that JJ was gonna go with the strongest 11. That was my opinion.
Hey man, listen, I'm gonna stick to my original word. That's fine. It worked out. To me, in my mind, it was still an unnecessary move that he did. I thought Benfica could have rested those 3 guys and still came away with the victory. I mean, listen, it worked out. Doesn't mean it wasn't any less kamikaze.
There's a couple ways to look at that because yes, you were right. I think Samaris was lucky not to get a yellow card with all the fouls that he committed in the game. The other way to look at it was a difficult match. The 2-0 scoreline, if you look at it on paper, it looks like it was pretty easy. But if you watch that match, it was a struggle to the end. I think they had more chances than we did and everything. I think they had more shots on goal.
They might have, Steve, but they only really had one real goal-scoring chance, and that was the time already. I mean, listen, the game was played, in my opinion, in between the boxes. A lot of the game. Benfica had an early opportunity. Obviously, Jonas jumped on that loose ball, put it in the back of the net. And then after that, it was a bunch of gibberish going back and forth. The only shots that Belenenses really had was, let's be fair, was Carlos Martins on a majority of his free kicks, okay? And then, Benfica got a nice play in the second half. They got, score another goal. And again, it went back to between the boxes. It wasn't much there. I mean, it's not like Júlio César was standing on his head until the extra time with a magnificent save. I mean, you have to tip your cap to the guy. It was just, an absolute freaking blockbuster right there.
But they made it. Go
Well, I
ahead,
was gonna
Mario.
say,
Go
if
ahead.
you rest a guy like Samara, is there a couple key midfielders? That box to box and quickly turned one-sided, right? It was a tight match.
Absolutely. I was impressed by Belenenses. I just thought they were tireless. I mean, they were pressing us all over the pitch. They gave us a hard time throughout the whole match. And to me, I could see why JJ's playing every game like each game is the most important one because it's turning out to look that way.
Guys, was it
Yeah.
me or did it seem like Carlos Martins never wanted to win a game as much as he did this one?
Man, Carlos Martins is a special case because there's an obvious talent in there. Like you could see from the touches, you could see from the free kicks that this guy has talent. He has ability, but there's something upstairs that has never really been right with Carlos Martins, and he's never been able to produce a good season after a good season. I mean, I remember him playing pretty well one year at Sporting, and then a couple of years later at Recreativo, but that was it. It's never been consistent from the man. A couple of years ago, he was amazing in preseason. Remember that?
He showed up there all drunk and he lost his spot. And I mean, that's the thing. He goes out, he has a great season, celebrates from the off season. At least he has a secure spot on the all Vivo 11. That's for sure.
He's had some problems with some injuries also. He's
Yeah.
a guy that's very prone to injury also. So that hasn't helped his career at all. But
And
like Steve says, he is a technical, skilled guy. It's his head, I think.
This is a guy that played on the Portuguese national team at one point, guys. Let's not forget. It started a lot of the games. I mean, whether, you warrant it a lot of times, but he's still a real class player. Came up as a very young player at Sporting, and you could tell right away, Steve, like you said, the guy had that touch. You could tell he stood out.
he's got 100 times better feet than Raul Meireles for one of them, and Meireles just played a lot more for the Portuguese national team just because he's got the right mindset, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, but Steve, you're also talking about two different guys that play
Oh,
two
yeah.
different positions.
Well, similar positions, but in different ways.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Cristiano. Do you really think that Benfica would have won this game? Jonas, 2 goals. Gaetan was the guy also that provided a little bit of a spark. Samari's crucial, although you could have probably switched him with Face and not really noticed too much of a difference. But Jonas...
I mean, Jonas is a different maker, bro. I mean, you don't have to tell me that. Anyone that watches a Benfica game could absolutely tell that this guy is a difference maker. But my whole point all along was you start maybe, Bibelo Rodriguez and you start Ola John, which you had to in this case because of Salvio being injured. And, and if you really were struggling late in the second half, about 20, 25 minutes to go, then you bring those 2 guys off the bench. And obviously, if you then get a yellow, then you get a yellow. But I thought you should have rested these guys and took the precaution and make sure that these guys were available to, for the Clásico next week. Now, it worked out for Jorge Jesus, so right now everyone could just say, Chris, you don't know what you're talking about. That's fine and dandy. But to me, it was still an unnecessary risk that Benfica took here.
Yeah. And Steve, John is quite impressive. I think that his tally for the 2015 is very, very impressive.
He's a goal behind Ronaldo with 2 less games.
Yeah. So there you go.
From a guy, Ronaldo, you can say what you want about him, but he lives off his goals. I mean,
a goal behind Ronaldo in which sense, Steve?
from 2015, from the beginning of 2015 till now.
Okay, say all right, cool. Because right now Ronaldo's around 50 already.
No. In 2015, so since the turn of the year, he's up there with Ronaldo. And Ronaldo is a player that scores 5 goals in one game. He's a player that lives off of goals. And Jonas offers, to us at least, so much more. I mean, he just makes his team play so much better when he pops up in between lines and holds the ball up so that the rest of the team can join in on the attack. Jonas is a completely different player than a player that you could define by the goals he scores. So the fact that he's scoring this many is insane.
But Jonas also, he doesn't get his goals from PKs either. He's not the PK taker for us.
His name isn't Penaldo.
Exactly. No, it's all from to play the game, right?
Good call, Mario. Good call.
All right, so you guys take Jonas. I'll take Penaldo. I'll take my chances with Penaldo.
But Mario, here's the thing, right? Do you think? I mean, this guy has scored now in 3 games in a row. He has scored 2 goals. Do you think that this Benfica team is very dependent on Jonas at this point?
In a way, yeah, they are. But at the same time, if you start overmarking Jonas, you open guys up like Nico and Lima. It's kind of a catch-22. You got a lot of good players that can score goals. And I think because you got Lima always bouncing around the box, it opens Jonas up for those opportunities. But it's clear when we didn't have him at the beginning of the season, when we started the preseason, we were struggling for goals. So he's a huge, big impact for us. If he got injured for whichever reason at the beginning of the game, I'd be a bit worried.
Yeah, I mean the guy that really fell off the face of the earth is Talisca by far. Oh man, he's got at least 7 goals. Even Salvio was overtaking him, and Jonas just done a phenomenal job of scoring goals. But obviously they well rounded with the Limas, the Salvios, and Talisca at the beginning of the season. Now he's doing crap. But everybody, the majority of this team has goals, guys. I mean, I'm looking at the list right now. Feja just came back. Cristante, even Cristante got to go. Your boy that LA got to go. So yeah, I mean, pretty well-rounded team, but obviously Jonas is the guy that they go to. But I think if you were to swap Jonas in there with maybe a Rodriguez, obviously it's not the same quality of player, but maybe Lima gets a couple of chances and he puts him in the back of the net. I have no doubt that Benfica could still score even without Jonas at this point because of the way that they've been playing of late.
Yeah, here's Steve. Bulnes, we got very early on the scoreboard, 5 minutes, and this was actually a mistake from one of the Bulnes player. I believe it was Pelé, and he was one of the guys that we had been talking about possibly sitting out this game because apparently there's some kind of an agreement, or Benfica's got first dibs on him. He passed back a ball that the defender couldn't really get to it. Then it went to the goalie. Lima pressured the goalie. Then the ball came to Jonas, and Jonas ended up scoring. But here's where really where things can get shady. That if he had been a Benfica player, then there's all kinds of questions being raised on this Pelé kid.
Oh, for sure. They say the whole thing about the kids not playing against their mother team is to protect them for situations like this. We've had this conversation before. I think the league should do something about it. It's got to be enforced by the league, not by agreements between clubs and stuff like that, because it ends up looking shady. So for me, it's got to be enforced by the league. Pelé for the rest of the game had a fantastic match. If you ask me, I was pretty impressed with him. I don't think he's going to be at Belenenses for very much longer. I don't think that Dalsu kid at 18 years old is going to be at Belenenses for much longer either. Whether or not we pick him up or whoever picks him up, I don't see him staying around. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. I don't actually think he saw Benfica. he saw an opportunity to help Benfica and get a job for next year. I don't think that's the case. I just think it's one of those things that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. But it could be a murky area. It could be people could say stuff, but like you said,
especially if he was actually loaned. If he was actually loaned, I could see the point. And there was the whole thing with Tozed earlier in the year when he scored a goal and he got a whole bunch of flack from the Porto bench. I get it. But to me, like we've discussed before, it's got to be enforced by the league.
Isn't Alcio somehow linked to Benfica? There's that says that might have insinuated that him and Benfica.
There's rumors that we have first dibs on him, Sturgeon, Pelé, and sorry guys, right now I don't even remember who that is, so maybe.
I just actually made that name up. It wasn't really. Sure.
But yeah, there was definitely news in the media that it looked like we're linked to him, and he's going to come to us next year.
Yeah, but Mario, not the best game by Benfica. I actually thought that their first half was pretty sloppy. I thought they were very efficient on the opportunities that he had, especially Jonas. We got two clear opportunities. He put them away, but not the games that we've been accustomed to by Benfica at Stade de Luz these past couple weekends. But nonetheless, this was a game that was very crucial because it's the game that comes up before Porto's game, and it was a game that we by no means could we lose the points advantage that we have to Porto. But not very sloppy game by Benfica, this Belenenses game.
Right, well, it was a tough game. You got to think of it this way. Also, it's Belenenses knew that the pressure would be on us. They themselves are a few points off of. They're right now in the Europa League running, but at the same time, only a few points ahead. I think Paços Ferreira. They had a lot online there. They've been having a good season, and they put up one hell of a fight. I thought it was a perfect game, to be honest, in a sense that Julio Cesar got tested. He hasn't been tested much recently. So to see that he's on the mark, that he can make a very quick save like he did, that he's ready for a quick shot from Porto this upcoming weekend, and they could potentially stand up, which is good to see. It was good. If we had steamrolled them, or maybe had just a very easy game, maybe I'd be a little bit nervous of us going in, maybe too confident into this Porto game. Maybe we'll go into training this week a little bit more, step up your game, be aware of who we're facing. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more thoughts about doubleness before I move on?
No.
All right. We're going to take a small break while Nelson does his thing, and we'll be right back. All right. For those of you watching on YouTube, you didn't hear anything because I'm having some issues mixing that in. But I promise that in the audio mix, though, Nelson's thing will be there. I do have that information. Anyway, let's turn our attention now to the Clásico. Benfica obviously plays Porto this upcoming Sunday at 1 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, is it? East Coast time, 6 p.m. local, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's what it is.
I think you're right. I'll confirm that as you speak.
Yeah. So, Cristiano, I'll start with you, all right? After the beatdown in Germany today, what do you think Porto's – I mean, there's a lot of angles that we could look at, but what do you think Porto's state of mind is going to be coming into Estádio da Luz, a packed Estádio da Luz, if I may add?
I think that Porto's going to look at today's game and really just try to put it in the back of their minds. I mean, they know that if they come to Estádio da Luz on Sunday and they find a way to walk away with a 3-point, the game's really not going to mean anything. I think deep down inside, every single player in that locker room knew coming into the season and even coming into this matchup against Bayern Munich that they were not going to win the Champions League. Their objective has always been to win the Campeonato. And if they do that, if they come to Estádio da Luz on Sunday and they walk away with the 3 points, all will be forgotten, guys. Let's not forget, this is a team today, yes, they got slapped around. They were also missing the very two good starting outside backs, Alexandro and Danilo. So that being said, both of those guys will be playing. Obviously, there'll be some concerns with Jackson Martinez, who might have been limping towards the end of the game here today. But that being said, this is still a team that understands what's at stake. And if they win on Sunday, like I said before, everything will be forgotten.
Mary, do you subscribe to that?
Not really. I agree with the idea that at the beginning of the season, they knew they weren't going to win the Champions League. They knew the objective was to win the title in Portugal. But when you beat Bayern Munich 3-1 and you go with that advantage to Germany, your objective changes. You start going, well, I don't know if we're going to win the Champions League, but we feel pretty damn confident we're going to go to the semifinals at this point. And you could feel it from the fans. You could feel it from their club in terms of what you're seeing, the lead of that match, that they felt that they could do it and make it to the semifinals. So they're probably disheartened right now, not to just narrowly miss out, but to get slaughtered the way they did. So I think that'll affect them to a degree. Obviously, they'll want to win this weekend to kind of forget about it, but I think that's a loss you don't forget about as a player.
Yeah, Steve, what do you think? What do you think mentally? What do you think that's going to be easily? I mean, it's a beatdown is a beatdown, but this is a beatdown of all proportions. You think that as a player? I mean, I know you're a professional and you have guys that probably sit down with you and counsel you in times like these. But this is a heavy beatdown, man. And then coming into Estádio da Luz, first of all, you go into this game is a huge decision into the next round. It means a lot, and you're mentalizing yourself. You got a very good chance to make it in the next round. Now you're coming into the Estádio da Luz with another big decision, where if you could get the win and if you could get the goals with the win, there's a very good chance that you'll have a chance to get in on a championship. How do you feel that this beatdown affects this Porto team?
Okay, so it is a beatdown, but it is from what most people will say is, if not the top team in Europe, it's definitely one of the top 3 teams in Europe. So to an extent, they were almost expected to, even with a 2-goal lead, I think they all, as confident as they would be, I don't think any of them were completely convinced that they weren't going to go out yet. You know what I mean? Like you're going to Bayern Munich, who's a superpower in football. you only have a 2-goal advantage against them, where they've routed God knows how many different people in Germany throughout the season. You can't go there feeling too cocky, saying that one foot's in the quarterfinals, or sorry, the semifinals. So that being said, I think they should be able to bounce back mentally for this match. The thing is that this match has a huge amount of importance to it. This match basically is the key to their season. If they win this match, they have an opportunity to win the league, especially if they win by more than 2 goals. It all comes down to how they can handle this pressure, because really the pressure is all on Porto at this point. Benfica can even tie the match, as much as I know none of us really want to approach it that way, but they can, and they will keep the same lead that they have against them. So to me, it's not so much their mentality coming into the game, but how they will react to the pressures of the game. I think mentally they will bounce back from this. I just don't know if they will have the experience and the know-how and be able to calm themselves for this match, especially with a fairly new coach in Lopetegui. That's the way I look at it.
And there's that old saying. There's that old saying, guys. A wounded dog is more dangerous than a healthy dog at times. So, Porto right now is definitely wounded. Steve, you made a great point. I tried to interrupt just to throw into the fact that, don't forget, not only did 99% of the experts predict that Bayern Munich would overturn the score. I mean, Steve, they were without their outside backs. Even deep down inside, they had to be wondering if they're going to be able to sustain and keep up with the Bayern Munich attack. Let's be realistic.
2 of their best players. I mean, their fullbacks are 2 of the most. I won't say most important, but obviously 2 of the better players of the 11. So for sure.
Mario.
Yeah, I still think that they'll come into this with something in their head. It's a young team, like you mentioned, not only from a coaching standpoint, but they have a lot of young players that probably have never seen that type of atmosphere. Never been on that end, and to be honest, the luge will probably be a lot worse in terms of an atmosphere. They know they have to win. They know they have to not only win, but win by 2 goals or more. And I think it'll affect them a bit. They'll probably have some tired legs, depending really how the game starts off. When we start off with some great pressure on them, these kids might start having flashbacks to what happened today. If they start having a hard time having possession, if we're really pressing them when they have the ball, and we get an early goal, those nerves will start sinking in. Well, there's a comment that I thought was kind of interesting from Jackson Martinez at the end of the game. They asked him, will this be his last Champions League match with a Porto jersey? And his response wasn't overly confident. It was, I don't know. It was like he just kind of brushed off, maybe he's out this season. Then Lino, let's screw up his name, he's already out. He's off to Real Madrid. You got a lot of these guys that said, we put up a good show in Europe, did a good show against Bayern Munich. We've pressed the scouts. Maybe we'll play one more good game, but we're already thinking of where we're going to land next. The idea of playing as a team might not really be there. Jackson Martinez might start playing as a solo individual, knowing that he's that close to finally getting a big contract outside.
Yeah, Mario, Porto has a handful of young players, but, I mean, let's be fair. Not many of them start. And the guys that do start, you want to give me Casemiro's young. Okay, this is a guy that has experience at Real Madrid. You want to give me Oliver, it's a guy who comes from La Liga. Okay, these are all guys that have experience. I don't think, unless they start with the kid Neves, Ruben Neves in the midfield, every single one of those guys in that starting lineup is full of experience. I don't think this will be the first time that they go into some type of atmosphere. Majority of them played at the Dragão. I think both of these guys, I think all of these guys on this Porto team, I know as Benfiquistas we don't want to admit it, but listen, guys, facts are facts. If Porto beats Benfica on Sunday, all will be forgotten. They will write that ship in a jiffy, just like that. And I think that's the point that we have to remember here. Yes, it sucks that they got hammered today. But, guys, I think every single one of the coaches and even Pinto da Costa in that locker room today was saying, all right, you know what? Forget about it. It's over. It's done. We have an opportunity to still walk away and come away with the Campeonato this season if we do what we have to do on Sunday. And I think that's the message that's being transmitted to every single one of those players on that squad.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think as far as preparation time? I know that the physical aspect is a factor that we have to take into consideration. Porto did play this Tuesday. There's a certain physical exhaustion there, but I don't think there's any. It's not the same thing as playing on a Thursday and playing on a Sunday. I think they got plenty of time to recuperate as far as the physical aspect goes. But here's the thing: Benfica's had or is going to have a whole full week to prepare for this game, while Porto is going to have less time to prepare for this game, both mentally and technically. Or tactically, I should say, for this game. How do you think that preparation affects the game?
They'll still have 5 days to rest, guys. Okay? And let's not forget, these guys right now at this part of the season, they're all in shape. You know what I mean? It's not like at the beginning of the season where you might have a couple slapdicks walking around the back of the line and just trying to, to jog and stay with the guys. No, at this point, they're all in shape. And the other thing is, guys, let's not forget, they have some of the best trainers in the world. This is not like playing in the Leeds League here in Newark, New Jersey. They have trainers. They have guys that will take care of the massagistas and everything. They have guys that will take care of these. And I think every single one of them, with the exception of maybe Jackson, due to the fact that he was out a previous month, I think every single one of those players will be, at this point of the season, they'll be as close to 100% as they could all be, because as we know, it's been months into the season. Every single player is carrying some type of knock at this stage. So I don't worry for Porto. I think they'll all be fit. These guys will get the best treatment possible. And again, they have 5 days between now and Sunday.
Yeah, I'd say they, in terms of fitness, though, if you compare them versus Benfica, they will have just a slight edge, like on our end, just because they'll have that extra bit of rest.
Yeah.
But I think we do have it's just not a big edge, but we do have a bit of an edge.
Yeah, and Steve, I'm thinking here that as far as physical, as Myra is saying, we're going to have a little bit of an edge. But what I think, and João Gomes is on Twitter, he's saying that after the 70th minute, that's perhaps where the legs are going to become more heavier for Porto than Benfica. And if Benfica could keep the game close, and I'm not, being negative about it, but if Benfica could keep the game close, after the 70th minute is where we could really take advantage of Porto's tired legs.
Absolutely. Our whole approach to this game is what's, for me, is going to be the most interesting part and one of the keys of what happens. I mean, we could wait them out, really. A tie doesn't hurt us. They will open up because they have to win the game. We will have our chances. So, absolutely. The 70th minute's going to come. If it's still 0-0, it's looking better and better for us at that point. So, I have to agree.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think tactically the approach that JJ should take for this game?
Bro, I think I've always said this. I've been a firm believer. You go out there and you slap a bully in the face, okay? And that's exactly what Porto's going to come into this game, because Porto knows that they need the 3 points more than Benfica does, okay? They need to walk away with the 3 points here. Well, not more than Benfica does, but they're the ones that are on the road. They need to come chase the result. So I'm hoping that JJ, sticks with what we've seen at home. I don't want to see too many of these changes where he's putting midfielders at defense and defenders at midfield. I just want what we've been accustomed to at home. I want to see that type of style. I want to see Benfica be aggressive. I want to see Benfica pressure Porto, just like we saw Porto do to Bayern Munich last week. That's the type of game I want Benfica to play, because if Benfica wants to be champions, I want them to play like champions, and in particular at home, because we know they're not the same team on the road. But at home, I expect Benfica to come out and try to punch Porto in the face.
Yeah. Mario, what do you think, the approach?
No, I agree. You got to go, the lineup that's worked for us. What we did last few weeks. I think at the end of the day, they do have a little less gas than we do, so we go hit at them hard. We push them. We run after the balls. I hope JJ's sitting in the locker room or in training telling these guys, give every last drop on the field. Chase the ball, go after them, make them run, make them gas out at the 70th minute, make them gas out at the 60th minute, Go after, if Ricardo Quaresma starts at the beginning, chase him, make him run, make him chase the ball, because that guy can't play a full 90 minutes anymore. He's going to have a hard time doing a full 90 minutes this weekend. And that'll be to our advantage by the end of the game. I think we have better options on the bench, to be honest. And, I think we just go with our Caesar, Maxi, Luizão, Chardel, Elizio, Samares, Salvio, Pizzi, Nico, Jonas, and Lima. Just go with the guys that have worked for us. What he's been saying all this time, taking it game by game. Well, it's another game. Take it this game, go for the win.
Yeah. I'd be happy if a tie is going to bring us the title. I'll be happy. But being that, as Chris has pointed out, that We are playing in our stadium, and if we want to be champions, then we got to play like champions. I think we should play for the win, not a tie, or not even play not to lose. I think that we should just go be careful at the same time, not go crazy. But I think that we should not play the same type of game that we played at Alvalade. That's for sure.
Guys, listen. Here's the thing. Even if we tie this weekend, I don't want to hear anyone celebrate that we won the campeonato. We still got to go out to Gil Vicente, and we still got to go out to Guimarães. Okay, those are not going to be easy games. We've seen what this club does on the road. They're not the same team. They're a far cry from what we see at home. Then obviously 3 of their last 4 games will be at home. Okay, that's fine against, well, not 3. I'm sorry, 2, because the other one is a Taça de Cerveja. So it would be 1 at home against Marítimo and then 1 at home against Penafiel. And then Gil Vicente on the road and Guimarães on the road. So we all know Guimarães is going to put up a tough fight. And in particular, if he goes up north, man, you know what's going to happen. All the Portistas will be out there. So I want nothing but a win this weekend. I won't be satisfied with a draw. Obviously, I won't be disappointed. I won't be heartbroken. But I don't think I'll be satisfied with a draw this weekend. I think Benfica, in order to win the Campeonato and lock it up, you beat Porto, a team that just got slapped like all you guys are mentioning this week, that just got slapped today. You beat them at home, and you send them out of their misery, and you say, you know what? We're going to the Marquês, and we're going to celebrate a beat Campeonato for the first time in 63 years or whatever the hell it is. I know.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci, Porto.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Mario.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to add is I don't know if you guys know the stats behind let's say JJ and his experience with Porto in our stadium. We faced him 8 times so far. Out of those times, we've only won 4, so we have a 50% win rate against Porto under his reign. We've had 1 draw, we've had 3 losses, but the one thing, we've only ever lost 1 game by more than 1 goal difference. And that's kind of a key factor. Even if we do lose, if we lose 2-1 or 1-0, we still have the head-to-head advantage. So I think that plays into the factor. So I want to win. I agree with Chris, man. You got to go out there and you got to take the win because that pretty much, not say it ends it, but it does in my mind. It's pretty much over at that point. We've won the title. A draw does give them hope. It's not over yet, but we can still fight it out. But even a loss, even if we do lose 1-0, we still got the advantage. We still, so it's not. It's on them. The pressure's totally on them at this point.
I have a problem with that. That's the biggest problem I have is that I'm hoping that JJ's not thinking like that. That even a 1-0 loss, okay, that we're still come out on top by the numbers. Okay, I don't want that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm afraid of seeing a repeat of what we saw as José Alvalade with in the midfield. I don't want to see no invenções this time around. Steve, what do you think?
To me, I think the key is kind of mixing it up. Porto is a team that possesses the ball better than we do. They will have more of the ball than we do. We're gonna have to kind of mix up the way we counter that. There'll be times when I think we're gonna have to sit back further and absorb a little bit of pressure to suck them into us, really, for no better word, so that we could probably get in behind the Alexandros and the Danilus. There should be an outlet. If you look at Jonas's positioning, a lot of times his positioning when we don't have the ball is on the left flank, looking for the outlet pass, because it's 9 times out of 10 it's easier to find a guy on the wing when you're in tight spaces than it is through the middle. So you're going to find that Jonas is going to be hovering in those areas. So for me, it's all about the mixing it up, because there's also times where I want to see, like you guys say, Benfica in their face, pressing high, trying to minimize where they could work. I want to see that, because I think if you keep them on their toes, they're not going to know which way to set themselves up as well. If we just sit back, kind of like the way we did against Sporting, they've come accustomed to that from other teams. They'll know how to drag us in and out of position, and they will exploit that. I think the key is to be a bit pragmatic and switch it up. It can't always be one approach. You can't always be pressing them high. You can't always be sitting back. They kind of have to play within the moments of the match. And that's another thing. We're only going to have moments in this match. We're not going to, no matter what you guys think, we're not going to dominate Porto for 70 or 80 minutes unless they're piss poor. And I don't think they're going to be piss poor. So that's not going to happen. So the effectiveness has got to be like our number one key. You cannot have Lima missing sitters. You cannot have Salvi wasting chances when he's been good lately, but wasting chances when he should have passed the ball and he's got his head down and he's trying to beat 2 or 3 guys. That can't happen. We have to be very, very careful to use the ball well every time we have it, because this is not going to be the game that we've been accustomed to since the turn of 2015 at home. This is not going to be that game where we're just rolling over people. It's just not going to be like that.
Yeah, Mario, what are some of the keys for you?
To be honest, the keys, I think, I agree with Steve. It's controlling your opportunities, and to be honest, possession. If I know Porto has the ability to have more possession. If we look back at the game to Dragão earlier this season, they had more possession. They controlled the game a little bit more. But I do think this week will impact them to a degree. If we control that possession, we control the ball, we control the movement of the game, I think they'll mess with them a good bit. I am curious to see if JJ is going to opt for a more defensive lineup by only having one striker, and if he does that, I hope he keep Jonas, because I think at least he can finish his opportunities more than Lima. But I agree with Steve. You have to, when you get an opportunity, you have to finish it. You won't get as many of them in this game. But if we do score early, the pressure will be on Porto. We can maybe sit back a bit and catch them on the counter. I don't like seeing that, but that could be what we see.
Yeah, Cristiano, keys. Some of the keys for you.
Key to keep the shutdown Jackson Martinez and Brahimi. You shut those two guys down, I think Benfica will be well on their way to a very good result. Quaresma is obviously the type of player that could finish a game at any second, but I take my chances with shutting down those other two guys.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned Quaresma. I read a piece recently where it cited about 3 or 4 different moments in this season where it seems to be that he's really turned the corner mentally, where before he would pout about coming off or he wouldn't chase back, and he's doing those things. I honestly think that him going against who I will say is our weakest defender, I don't think many of you guys will argue against that if it is Eliseu that starts.
No, they're not.
But a knock or not, it is only the truth. He is the weakest defender we have. If Quaresma, in the type of mood that he has been lately against Eliseu, him being the talented player that we know he is, as frustrating as he can be, that could cause problems. I think he's another one of the players that we're going to have to try to control as much as possible. I think Gaetan is going to have another difficult shift ahead of him, similar to the game against Braga, where he worked extremely hard, because not only is he going to have to help on that end, there's a 3 versus 2 in midfield that we're going to have to overcome. They're going to play with Herrera, Oliver, and Casemiro as a triangle in midfield, and also eventually, as they're gaining more possession, you're going to see Brahimi drift in. So Gaetan's going to have to do a little bit of what Brahimi does, plus help out Eliseu. So you're going to ask a lot of the guy. So
yeah,
there's a lot of keys to this match.
We need to shut down spaces ASAP, because one thing we've seen with this Porto, at least in the Champions League so far, is that they can score goals from outside the box. So I think you need to close these guys down ASAP. But again, Steve, you bring up great points. Obviously, Oliver is a fantastic player. The kid's going to be a stud. But I think shut down Brahim Jackson. I think things will be all right for Benfica. Obviously, a lot of the danger, by taking those two guys away, you take a lot of the danger away from Porto's attack.
Well, we don't know what condition Jackson's going to be in. There was rumors that he might have taken an injection to play the first leg against Bayern. He finishes up the game not in a very good shape today, so we don't really know what his status is going to be for the weekend. But definitely, I agree with you guys that one of the keys is going to be to shut down Jackson Martinez and combat that 3-man midfield by Porto. Mario.
Yeah, I'd say Jackson Martinez, it's a guy you always have to worry about. With the kind of some of the earlier comments, he's going to gas out. He was gassing out against Bayern Munich. You could tell the fitness is not there. At the end of that game, he was exhausted. It's going to impact him this game. If we put a lot of pressure on him, we got some tough guys in Cardell. If you give him, you don't go for a red card, but you give him a few knocks, they're going to have a hard time in the last 30 minutes of that game. And that really could be talking about a key of the match or a key to the game could be the last 20 minutes of this game could make or break it for us. If we stay focused and we apply some serious pressure near the end, they could have a hard time handling it. I know Kresman's been doing quite well, but again, he has a hard time playing a full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's all about surviving that first half, coming out strong, and by the second half, I think some of these guys will start having issues.
I don't know, man. At times this season, I was probably in that same wavelength with you, Mario, surviving the first half. I think that surviving on this game, on a game that we're playing at home, where we're, on paper we're the favorites, I think that's not a word we should be using. I think surviving.
I think Benfica needs to take advantage of the slapping, of the smackdown that Porto took today, and test their will nice and early come Sunday. Go out there and see what Porto's made of. If they come back and slap you back in the face, then you know what? Maybe then you hold out and you try to survive. But until then, you come out and you put the pressure on Porto. You let them know that we mean business. We're here to win this game. Let's see if we have the legs for it.
Yeah, we're here to win this game. We're the best team in this championship. I think we should go out and go for the spare. After the 6 pins, we go for 4. Mario.
Yeah, I would say I agree. It's at the end of the day, it's more. The word's not surviving. Just we got to play smart. We got to play smart. We got to make sure we apply good pressure early on. If we take advantage of what they saw today and we get an early goal, we put some pressure on, they can fall apart very quickly. At the same time, if Porto, for whichever reason, is having possession, they're having control of the game. Play smart, apply pressure, tire them out, and know that at the end of the game they're going to be, on tired legs and be falling down. And I think we can take advantage of that. I mean, surviving is not the right word, but we have a big opportunity in the last 20 minutes of this game, I think, where we could, pop in a good few goals.
Chris.
I got a question for Chalkboard. He's been kind of quiet, and I think I know what his answer is going to be, but, I figured I'd ask anyway. Steve, come Sunday, Bob Sick or Andre Almeida left back?
Wait, do you want Steve's opinion on what JJ's going to do?
Yeah, so that was exactly what I was going to ask you.
Well, I did say I think I know what Steve's answer is going to be, right, before I started it. But you know what? You give me whatever you want to give me. I asked you a question. You answer which way.
My decision would be Andre Almeida. JJ's decision will be Eliseu.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that Eliseu's is perhaps not too bad of a decision, considering that Eliseu is very experienced, and whether he's facing Ronaldo or whether he's facing some of the premier left wingers or right wingers in Spanish Primera, the guy knows what to do.
You know what? He's been pretty good for us since the turn of the year, just like the rest of the team has. So there was a time where I've been knocking on him steady, but right now he's been not too bad. I am okay with him playing left back, but he probably had I been the coach, he probably never would have played left back. But that's just the truth.
Now, the one thing that does give me confidence regarding Popsicle is, if you guys recall, going into the Sporting game, I killed Jardel every week, and my man came up with a huge goal. Now I'm kind of hoping Popsicle repays me for my support, okay? For my loyalty to this dude for the last God knows how long, when everyone rips this guy to shreds, and I'm sitting here now, Popsicle's the man. Obviously, I do it jokingly, and I think ever since I started doing that, and I've noticed the hate towards the guy, I started to kind of root for the guy. He's not a great left back by any stretch of the imagination, but the one thing that the dude could absolutely freaking do is
shoot the ball.
Shoot the ball. He's got a cannon of a left foot, and I think that's why JJ puts him out there. And hopefully he gets a hold of one, Mo, and he just puts it up top in the gaveta, and Benfica walks away with the 3 points, and I'll be having a huge smile on my face next week, just like Nelson and Timo did when Jardel scored that huge goal in Estádio Zé Lava.
Mario.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree. I would be very worried if Almeida started, just because I don't think he's ever performed good for a big game for us. If you look at the amount of big games we've had where it's like technically a final, he hasn't really stepped up, in my opinion.
I thought he did his job to the T, whether or not he was good or not, but he did exactly what was asked of him against Sporting.
To be invisible?
He was not invisible, man.
He was
not.
That was different.
He didn't do much with the ball, but he wasn't expected or asked to do much with the ball.
But in that game, didn't he play more as a defensive midfield?
Exactly.
But he was. That's the thing. He wasn't playing left back.
And I remember him playing quite well in the Europa League on a couple of occasions. He hasn't played many of the Clásicos by no stretch of the imagination. I can't even think of him playing. Maybe that one where we played them, where Andre Gomes scored the goal. I think we had a few more of the second stringers out there, but that was it. But honestly, I have no problem at all with Andre Almeida playing in any match. I think he's going to give you exactly what you ask of him, which is a 7 out of 10 performance, and you get that from him week in, week out. You're not going to get a 9 out of 10 performance because he doesn't have the talent to give you that. So you can only get what he can give you, and he'll give that to you every week. That's why I like him. Yeah. And that's why most coaches would like him as well.
O guys não sobressai muito, but you know he's consistent, and you know exactly what you're going to get week in, week out.
Exactly.
But I think it's the fact that he won't shine at any moment. I think that's what's holding him back from having a starting position at Benfica, and what's holding him back from getting a quality.
Well, he got 2 assists the other day. That's shining, if you ask me.
Well, so much so that he's going to sit the bench this week.
More than likely. Who we have been talking up a lot lately are our 2 central midfielders, Samaris and Pizzi. We've been praising them as they deserve it. I mean, Samaris has come a long way around. Pizzi has basically almost to an extent made us forget about Enzo Perez for one way or another. At least he plays the position differently than Enzo does, so you don't miss some of the things that Enzo does. But this is their first huge test as a partnership, if you ask me. Yeah. I mean, the Braga game, you guys were there. It ended up being a bit of a cakewalk. We just ran all over them, and I don't think we're going to do that to Porto. So you're going to have both Herrera and Oliver basically right on top of these guys, not giving them space to breathe whenever they get the ball. And you're going to have to expect Pizzi and Samaris to do the same back when Porto have the ball. So you're going to need an absolute monster performance from these guys, and that's where we're going to see what level they're at. Because, okay, Herrera is, he's all right. He's not the best player. Oliver, we know, is a talented player. So now they're being matched up against good, not players that are like the rest of the league. So this will be the first test for me.
You know what gives me a little bit of confidence, though, Steve? The fact we got Feja back and Ruben Amorim. If one of those 2 guys struggle, we could insert those guys right into their positions and not lose a beat.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely it's going to be something where those guys are going to be outnumbered in the midfield. There's definitely going to be a battle there. And one of the keys to the game, as one of you guys has pointed out, is going to be that midfield battle. When we're going to be 2 against 3. Also, Steve mentioned it quite well, the partnership between Samaris and Pizzi will be truly tested against Porto. So we'll just have to see. But I think one of the keys is also going to be Jonas dropping into the midfield to fill in numbers, especially on the attacking transition. I think that's going to be key for us. The other thing is that us knowing that there's going to be special attention paid to Jonas. He's going to be a guy that Porto players are always going to know, or always going to want to know where he is. These are the guys around him, case in point Lima, need to step up.
Yep, and Salvio and Gaetan.
I just want Lima to convert a penalty if he gets it. That's it. Not the rest.
All right. I think that I think as far as a lineup, we're pretty in consensus of what the lineup was going to be. Besides maybe substituting Bob Sick by Andre Almeida, but I think that all of us are in agreement that JJ is going to go with the strongest lineup, and the strongest lineup is the lineup that's been playing.
We hope. That's key here. I don't think we're all in agreement. I think we're all hoping. We're all hoping in agreement because
I think JJ's got a good understanding of what it means to play Porto at home and how the fans will react to if he plays the same Andre Almeida in defensive midfield with Samaris again. Yeah. I think he knows what that will transmit, and I don't think he wants to have the fans on his back instead of supporting him.
I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what about inserting Feja into starting lineup alongside Samaris and taking out Lima. And again.
That's another thing that could happen.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something I could see JJ doing. Mario brought it up a while back here on the pod where Benfica could maybe play with one strike, and he hoped it'd be Jonas. So I could see something like that where once again, like you've mentioned, Steve, as well, it'll be rather than a 3v2 battle in the midfield, now it'll be a 3v3, a very even 3v3 in the midfield with Fej and Samaris side by side, and you know playing that triangle, inverted triangle in the midfield. I think that could be something he'll do. I'm just trying to invent here like him. I'm hoping that's not what he does. I'm just
I agree. I have that written down actually myself. I had in my mind my starting 11, but for the surprise.
Notes from today. You see this, Alfredo?
I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mario.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that's something I had written down for myself was that if there was to be a surprise, I think Facia would be that surprise. I think. The couple minutes he's played, he's looked good. And if JJ sometimes he likes to pull something out of his ass and surprise us, that could be it.
I don't think that the team has enough routines to play with a three-man midfield. That's what I think. I think it's going to be too new of a concept for the team, and it's going to throw off some of the mechanisms and automatisms that the team has to play with a three-man midfield.
Completely agree. I think especially on the defensive transition and the way that we press the ball with the two midfielders and the way that we're used to pressing with Lima at the front, I could see changes. I could even see that face of Samaris partnering to an extent, but I do not see a three-man midfield. I mean, JJ's knocked it so many times. He's only played it on a handful of times. I remember Olympiacos, I think it was, and we actually kind of played pretty well a couple of years ago. But I don't see a three-man midfield per se. I mean, you're adding in Jonas dropping in, adding in Gaetan pushing in from the left wing. Yeah, that way maybe. But as starting with three proper central midfielders, I don't see him doing it.
Steve, I mean, you can play a 4-3-3 just like Porto's going to implement, and then you really don't have to worry about Salvio nor Gaetan dropping back and defense. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just going over every single possible solution here. And just give me a minute because I got to whip out my Webster dictionary because I have no clue what the hell Alfredo just said those two monster words just a minute ago. I mean, Alfredo, take it easy now.
Automatisms, mechanisms.
Do they work better in Portuguese, Chris?
They sound better. At least, I've heard those words. But I still don't know what the hell they mean. That being said, Steve, again, 4-3-3. You really, the two Porto outside backs.
I agree, but JJ says the 4-3-3 is an inferior system for small teams. He said it a couple times. So
for small teams, then Chelsea, Bars, everybody.
Well, yeah, that's what I say.
Hey, we guys saw my skill. He's got a position over there, and I'm talking about him.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thanks. You just agreed with him. Thanks.
Anyway, let's wrap up the Porto conversation, and we'll wrap it up by going over some predictions. And Chris, I'll start with you. Prediction for the game.
Let's see. I'm gonna stick with a very hard fought 1-0 with a possible Bebeto Rodriguez goal.
For this.
No, that's a shout, man.
That's really
put some money on that because if that happens, whew, that'll pay.
Mario.
You know what? I think it's going to be a good game. I think we'll get a goal in the first 15 minutes. We'll probably absorb a lot of pressure, and then in the last 20 minutes we'll pop in two more. We'll get a 3-0 is what I'm going to go with.
Boom. Just like that.
Yeah.
Steve.
2-1 Benfica.
Yeah. I'm being positive on a podcast, but I'm thinking it's going to finish 1-1.
I have to throw in Neil's prediction here, because Neil.
It's going to be like 20-0.
So, I mean, Mary is only doubling up your score.
What's Neil's prediction?
6-1.
There we go. Look at that. That's good.
Neil Fernandez.
I'd love that. When we pull off what Porto did to us a few seasons ago, we take it's a tie, and at the very end we bring in the rookie, J-Rod, and he gets a goal in the 90th minute.
Or, would be sweeter? Be even sweeter? A replay of 5-6 seasons ago now, 5 years ago now. Offsides by 2 freaking yards. Mike on header.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Absolutely take like 6 yards offside. My man Eliseo with his butt tries to trap it, hits off his backbone and into the goal. I would love something like that. That would be, in particular, offsides. That to me would be the icing on the cake.
Okay, Lopetegui complaining, getting kicked off the field. That'd be good.
Like he did today.
Yeah. All right, and finally, we had a poll up on our website, the right back situation. We'll just run through the results. 33 of you voted, and the choices were renew Maxi, invest on keeping Cancelo. We got Almeida, so we don't need to renew Maxi or keep Cancelo. Sign injury-prone Silvio to a permanent contract. Bring Bruno Gaspars from Guimarães. And then somebody said that Maxi's renewal is not in our hands, so invest on Cancelo and Almeida. And Nelsinho from the B team got 1 vote. I think that I don't think I know that the one that got the most votes was renew Maxi with a total of 17 votes. Then Maxi renewal is not in our hands, so invest on Cancelo and Almeida. That got 7. And invest on keeping Cancelo got 6. We got Almeida, got 2. Signing Silvio got 0. Bring Bruno Gaspar got 0. And Nelsinho from the B team, as I've said, 1 vote.
It was his mother. I'm starting to think here that unless they go out and buy someone else, I think right now the 2 starting backs next season for Benfica is going to be André Almeida and Cancelo. Just right now, I'm having a real difficult time. Steve, I'm having a real difficult time in seeing Moxie coming back. I'm sorry, brother. Listen, they might lose Moxie, and it might not be those. They'll go out and buy someone because, as I stated, unless they buy someone else, I think those 2 will be your starting right backs next season.
I will be very surprised if Cancelo is the starting right back for us next year.
I'm very surprised too. I don't even think he makes it back.
Yeah, I have that hunch that probably will. If he comes back, he'll probably be loaned again.
No, he'll be back. He'll be back for sure. They're not going to pay the $15 million for him unless Benfica gives him, an ultra discount like they did with Bernardo Silva. They're not going to pay $15 million for him, guys.
That wasn't a discount. That was a buyout clause, and that's a very sensitive subject.
The buyout clause was $30 million. It wasn't 15.
That was a buyout clause for the loan deal, not. That was a separate buyout clause. That was an option to buy clause.
But do you agree that we're or every single one of you guys agreeing with me that we're having a hard time seeing Maxi come back at this point?
Yeah.
I think they've let it gone too far.
Yeah, I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. I mean, what's the holdup?
I honestly think the guy's going to get a big paycheck elsewhere. It's one last big paycheck. I don't think the club wants to give him a fat check, and I think that's the issue. I would love the guy to stay. Honestly, I think he's amazing, but I think it's a money issue.
Mary, I don't think it's the club not wanting to give him a fat check. I just think it's the club that, like Alfredo's mentioned 50,000 times since I've been a part here. Oh, damn, don't get mad at me and throw shit.
Say that again, Chris.
No, I was saying, like Alfredo mentioned numerous times here, which was that maybe just got this handshake agreement, just like Benfica had with Enzo Perez, that, look, give me a couple more months or give me to the end of the season, and then you know what? You could go out and fetch your big contract. We won't step in your way, even though we'd love to have you back. But at this point, just give us another season, bring us back to Bicampeonato, and then you can go on your merry way, and thanks for your service. I think that's what's going on right now.
I think it's, to be honest, it's been horribly handled, though, because at the end of the day, they should be selling him for something. We're getting nothing. He's a good player. I think he's going to be walking free, isn't he?
Yeah. But what would have left a year ago or 2 years ago? And maybe
you still say, you know what? Okay, handshake agreement. Let's renew your contract. Give you a few extra dollars in your pocket. We'll sell you in the summer to Galatasaray or wherever the hell you're going to go for a big check.
Not a bad point.
But it's I think a lost opportunity. A, we're not going to have the guy, and B, we're not going to get money from the guy to buy his replacement.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. All right, so the game does happen at 12. That's
I saw
sorry.
that.
5 o'clock local time. That's 12 here in the East Coast. We are actually going to try to do a pregame show 1 hour before kickoff. So if you guys want to check it out and tune in to YouTube, we'll be live. Same thing that we did against Sporting. We'll be talking up to the kickoff. So if you guys are home checking it out, waiting for Fubo to be on your TVs, definitely check out our pregame show. We'll be live We don't know yet, but we're hoping to have a couple of surprise guests. We'll see.
Emma.
I I think that's about it. You guys had anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, plenty. Each week we come to the end of the Benfica podcast, and I get real upset. I just want to hang out and talk to you guys. I mean, Steve, I feel like I haven't spoken to you in so long. Tell me a story, Steve. Say something. The fans are all waiting in anticipation to hear something about you, Steve.
Not a heck of a lot going on, man.
Everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat for that news.
Yeah, you see, I'm Mr. Exciting, as you know. You don't call me chalkboard for no reason. I'm quite bland, as people know.
I thought it was chalkwork. He's a professor, right? He's working on shit.
My man's always drawing shit up.
Well, most professors are quite boring, aren't they?
I don't know any. So I don't know.
It's been a long time since you've been in school, hey, Chris? Don't remind me of those nightmares, is what you're saying.
I'll just say this. I never got to the professor part. Okay? So
Fair enough.
All right. So, you guys, you can follow Mario at m.slb, right? Did I get that right, Mario?
Yeah, you got it.
At Steve Santos 6, at 10CO10, and at Benfica Podcast is where we are on Twitter. Don't forget to visit our site, benficapodcast.com. Our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk. Who else am I forgetting? Go ahead, Mario.
Just a quick shout out to Neil and Kevin. They came out to watch a game with me in Cambridge a couple weeks ago, and that was a blast. So,
There you go.
yeah.
you hung out with Neil and you survived.
I was going to say.
He's a funny guy. I love that guy. Yeah, my wife made him some pão com chouriço. He was supposed to take it home to his wife, and he ate it all on the car ride home.
I estava com fome, meu.
Yeah, he was. He's like, no, I gotta go and eat. He had a dinner of some kind. He's not gonna eat it. He has to be good. And by the time he gets home, he sent me a tweet. He's like, yeah, I ate it all on the way home.
There you go. That's what the Benfica Podcast does. Gets you together, and people make pão com chouriço and have it.
I feel I should give a shout out since we're talking about Benfica Podcast getting people together. Guys, pay attention, okay? Save up those pennies and those nickels, all right? For March, what are we talking?
April.
We haven't
April. My birthday.
yet.
2017, guys. Start saving up those pennies. Put the chavos aside and let's make a nice little bucket list, and we all meet up at Stadio de Luz. And then, guys, I promise I'll let every single one of you guys get a turn at talking before I.
Don't count on it, boys.
Yeah, 2017.
And girls.
2017 Cup. Save a date. We'll firm it up as we get closer, but it would either be end of February or middle of March.
Start saving, guys. Start saving.
Somewhere around there, where the championship is really heating up. We'll all get together. All right.
Sell Xavi if you have to make some money to go on a trip.
I'd sell you before I sell Xavi.
Sell your vinyl collection.
Another thing, I'd sell Chris before I'd sell my vinyl collection.
No, you wouldn't get much from me, bro. You pay more in shipping and handling than you do what you.
Good for nothing.
And they return me. Once I get there, they return me. You guys follow muito. Level my guys.
You gotta ship them without the battery, Steve. All right, guys. Thank you very much, Mario. Thank you for being here, Steve, Chris.
Arrivederci.
Don't forget to check us out on a pregame show coming up this Sunday, 1 hour previous to kickoff, or before kickoff. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.
Ciao.